Have you ever looked at your dog and wondered who you truly are in their heart? Are you simply the person who brings them food every day, the one who takes them for walks, or the one who opens the door whenever they want to go outside? Or is there something far deeper connecting the two of you, something that has been there all along without you ever realizing it? Most of us say we love our dogs like family. We care for them, worry when they get sick, celebrate when they are healthy again, and treasure them as our most loyal companions. But very few of us ever stop to consider that, in our dog's world, our role may be far greater than that. You may not simply be their owner, you may be the secure foundation they rely on to make sense of the world around them. Over the years, scientists studying canine behavior and cognition have uncovered something truly remarkable. A dog's brain does not merely learn to love humans. It develops a form of attachment that closely resembles the bond between a young child and their parents. When your dog feels uncertain, they seek you out. When they encounter something unfamiliar, they look to your face to decide whether they should be afraid or feel safe. When the world feels too big and too confusing, your presence alone reassures them that everything is going to be okay. This is no longer simple obedience shaped through training. It is a relationship built on trust, security, and love, strengthened day after day through the life you share together. And that is exactly what we are going to explore in today's video. 5 signs that your dog sees you as their parent. You have probably witnessed these behaviors hundreds of times without ever realizing what they truly mean. A brief glance, a few quiet steps following behind you, or a familiar little habit just before they drift off to sleep. These moments may seem ordinary, but together they tell a much bigger story. The story of how your dog quietly says, "You are the person I trust more than anyone else in the world." And I believe that by the time you reach the end of this video, you will never look at your dog the same way again. Part 1. The first place they always look is you. Think back to a completely ordinary moment. A loud noise suddenly comes from outside the door. A cardboard box falls over in the middle of the living room, or a stranger unexpectedly walks toward you while you are out walking your dog. In that instant, what do you think happens first? Most people would say their dog starts barking, steps back, or rushes forward to protect them. But if you watch closely, you will notice that something else happens even faster than any of those reactions. In the briefest moment, your dog's eyes turn toward you. It is not by accident, and it is not because they are waiting for a command. What your dog is truly searching for is the answer to one very important question. Should I be afraid? As surprising as it may sound, this is a behavior that researchers studying canine cognition have documented time and time again. They call it social referencing, a process dogs use to read the emotions of the person they trust most before deciding how to respond to a new situation. What makes this so remarkable is that it is almost identical to what psychologists observe in young children. When a child stumbles or encounters something unfamiliar, the very first thing they do is not cry or run away. They look up at their parents. If they see calm faces and reassuring smiles, their fear begins to fade. But if their parents react with alarm, the child instantly understands that something is truly wrong. Your dog is doing exactly the same thing. They are not simply looking at your face. They are carefully reading every tiny expression, every glance, every subtle movement across your face to understand the world around them. If you remain calm, they become calm as well. If you are tense, their body immediately shifts into a state of alertness. In their world, your face is like an emotional compass, helping them understand what is safe and what deserves caution. You may never have realized that such a brief glance could carry so much meaning. But to your dog, that look is far more than simple attention. It is an expression of complete trust. Because when the world suddenly becomes confusing, the very first place they turn is never someone else. It is always you. And when another living soul chooses you to shape their emotions before they even trust their own instincts, perhaps, in their heart, you are no longer simply their owner. You have become the place where they feel safer than anywhere else in the world. And in the next part, you will discover an even more touching sign, because it reveals the moment your dog willingly places the most precious thing they have into your hands. Part 2. A small gift that holds their entire world. Have you ever noticed that almost every dog has one special object they treasure above all others? It might be a faded tennis ball, a worn stuffed animal with its seams ready to come apart, or simply a small blanket they carry with them wherever they go. To them, it is far more than just a toy. It is something familiar, a source of comfort when they are alone, a precious treasure they always want to keep close. And yet, every now and then, something remarkable happens. No one calls them, no one gives them a command. They quietly pick up that cherished possession, walk over to you, gently place it at your feet, and simply look up into your eyes. They do not bark. They do not urge you to do anything. They do not seem impatient, as though they are waiting for you to throw it so a game can begin. Most people instinctively pick up the toy and toss it across the room. But sometimes, that familiar reaction causes us to miss the true meaning of what just happened, because not every time your dog brings you a toy is an invitation to play. Sometimes, what they are offering is something far more meaningful. In the world of dogs, the things they value most are not shared lightly. Their ancestors survived by competing for food, protecting valuable resources, and guarding what they needed to stay alive. That is why, when a dog willingly carries their favorite possession to another individual and places it in front of them, it is considered a powerful sign of trust. Animal behavior researchers believe this is a form of resource sharing, a behavior that is typically seen only between individuals who share a strong social bond within the same group. What makes this even more special is that your dog never has to give you that treasured object. You have never forced them to hand it over, yet they choose to bring it to you anyway. Not because they no longer care about it, but because, in their mind, you have become part of the family they trust enough to share their most valuable possessions with. Perhaps the most touching moments are the ones when they gently place the toy down and quietly lie beside you. There is no expectation. There is no request. They are not watching the toy. They are watching you. It is almost as if the object itself no longer matters as much as the feeling of sharing it with the person who means more to them than anyone else in the world. The next time your dog slowly carries an old, well-loved toy over and places it at your feet, do not be too quick to assume they simply want to play. Pause for a few seconds. Look into their eyes, because, in their own quiet way, they may be saying, "The thing I treasure most is something I want to share with you." And when another living soul willingly offers the possession they value above all else, it is no longer just a sign of affection. It is a sign of profound trust, much like a young child who happily hands their favorite toy to their parents, never once believing that the person they love would ever hurt them. But there is another sign, one that is even quieter, one that happens almost every single day without most of us ever noticing. It appears in the simple moment when your dog stands up and follows you, even when you are not doing anything special at all. Part 3. Why they always want to stay close to you, even when there is no reason. There is one familiar behavior that almost every dog owner has experienced, a behavior that often makes people smile or laugh. You are sitting on the sofa watching television, then you stand up and walk into the kitchen just to get a glass of water. Your dog, who was sleeping peacefully in the corner of the room, suddenly opens their eyes, stretches, slowly gets up, and quietly follows behind you. You only walk into the bathroom for a few minutes, and they wait right outside the door. You move from the living room to the bedroom because you forgot your phone, and once again, they calmly walk behind you as if it is the most natural thing in the world. Many people call this being a clingy dog. Some even joke that their dog is like a shadow, following them everywhere they go. But when viewed through the science of animal behavior, this action is far more meaningful than it appears. Researchers describe this as attachment maintenance behavior. In simple terms, your dog always wants to know where you are. Not because they are afraid of being hungry, or because they are waiting for a reward, but because your presence is what helps their nervous system feel balanced and secure. In developmental psychology, something very similar is observed in children who have a secure attachment with their parents. A child can become completely absorbed in playing with toys for hours, but the moment they realize their mother or father has left the room, they immediately look up and search. Not because they need to be carried, not because they want something. They simply need to know that the person who makes them feel safe is still there. Your dog is the same way. They could easily remain on their comfortable bed in the corner of the room. Yet the moment they hear your footsteps, they still choose to get up and follow you. Not because the place you are going is more interesting, but because, In their mind, wherever you are, that is where they want to be. Perhaps you have experienced a moment like this before. It is late at night. The entire house is quiet. You only walk downstairs to get a glass of water and plan to return immediately. As you step down the stairs, you hear soft little footsteps behind you. When you turn around, you see your dog, still half asleep, rubbing their eyes as they slowly follow you. After you get your water and return to the bedroom, they follow you back, curl up in the exact same spot, and continue sleeping as if nothing ever happened. At first glance, it may seem like this means nothing, but think about it for a moment. If their only goal was to rest, why would they willingly leave a warm, comfortable place just to follow you for a few seconds? The answer is because what makes them feel most comfortable is not the bed, and it is not even the familiar room around them. What gives them the greatest sense of security is knowing that the distance between the two of you is still close enough. What is even more fascinating is that the more a dog trusts someone, the less they feel the need to constantly demand that person's attention. They do not always need to be petted or entertained. Sometimes, simply lying quietly at your feet while you read a book, work, or watch television is already enough to make them feel completely content. Your presence itself becomes a reward. Perhaps that is why so many people say that dogs love to follow their owners. But the truth is, they are not following because it is merely a habit. They follow because their heart has chosen you as their place of comfort and security. Just like a child who instinctively moves closer to their parents in a crowded place, your dog is expressing through their actions. As long as I am near you, I know everything will be okay. And what makes this bond even more extraordinary is that this connection does not only appear when they are the ones who need protection. Sometimes, when the one who needs support is you, your dog may be the first to notice, even before you say a single word. Part 4. They notice your sadness before you ever say a word. Perhaps all of us have experienced days like this before. A day when you do not feel like talking to anyone. You still go to work, still smile, and still tell everyone that you are fine. But when the door closes behind you and you are finally alone, all the emotions you tried to hide suddenly become impossible to hold back. You quietly sit down on the couch, let out a deep sigh, and stare into the distance without even knowing what is going through your mind. And then, without you ever calling their name, your dog appears. There is no usual excitement, no happy jumps, no playful barking asking you to throw the ball. They simply walk over slowly, rest their head against your leg, or lie down close beside you, as if they already know that today you do not need a game. You simply need someone to stay. Many people call this empathy. But what makes it even more incredible is that science is beginning to prove that this emotional connection is real. A dog's sense of smell is tens of thousands of times stronger than that of humans. They do not only detect food scents or recognize familiar trails. They can also notice extremely subtle changes happening inside your body. When you are stressed or feeling sad, your body produces higher levels of cortisol, while your breathing, sweat, and even your heartbeat begin to change. These changes may be too small for other people to notice, but to your dog, they are like a clear signal that something is not right. Studies in recent years have shown that dogs can distinguish the scent of a person who is calm from the scent of that same person when they are experiencing stress. But the most fascinating part is not simply their ability to detect these changes. The truly remarkable thing is how they respond. Instead of moving away from someone showing signs of distress, as many other animals might do, dogs often choose to move closer. They quietly stay beside you, place their small chin on your knee, or simply lie there without doing anything at all. It is as though their instincts tell them that, at this moment, what you need most is their presence. Perhaps you have experienced this feeling yourself without even realizing it. There are days when you do not cry. You do not tell anyone what is happening inside your heart, yet your dog still stays closer than usual. They follow you from one room to another, lie near your feet while you work, or look up at you with gentle eyes as if they are asking, "Are you okay today?" They do not know the reason behind your sadness. They cannot offer advice or solve your problems. But sometimes, what helps heal a person is not words at all. Sometimes, it is simply the feeling of knowing that someone is still there and will not walk away. There is something truly beautiful about the relationship between humans and dogs. They do not love you only on the days when you are at your strongest. They are not beside you only when you are happy and full of energy. Instead, it is often during the moments when you feel the most vulnerable that they want to stay close to you more than ever. Perhaps that is why so many people say that during the most difficult chapters of their lives, the first one to notice their change is not a friend or a co-worker, but the dog who has quietly shared the same home with them all along. Because in your dog's world, you are not only the person who gives them a sense of safety. Sometimes, they also want to become the place where you can find comfort and peace. And when the day finally comes to an end, there is one final sign, quieter than all the others, but perhaps the deepest proof of all, showing just how important you truly are in your dog's heart. Part 5. The place they turn toward when they close their eyes to sleep. There is a moment that happens every single day, so quietly that most of us have never stopped to think that it carries any special meaning. It is the moment when your dog begins to feel sleepy. After a long day of running, playing, and following you around the house, they slowly search for a place to rest. Sometimes it is their familiar bed. Sometimes it is the rug in the middle of the living room. And sometimes it is nothing more than the cool floor right beside the chair where you are sitting. Then they curl up their body, relax every breath, and slowly drift into sleep. But if you look a little closer, there is one small detail that you may have noticed repeating itself over many years. Before they close their eyes, their face often turns toward you. At first, it may seem like nothing more than a coincidence. But for dogs, sleep has never been a simple state. In the wild, sleep is the moment when an animal becomes the most vulnerable. They are no longer fully alert enough to detect danger immediately. Because of this, their instincts guide them to choose their resting place very carefully. They search for a position where they can feel the safest before allowing their body to completely relax. Researchers studying canine behavior have found that dogs with a strong emotional bond with their caregivers often tend to rest in places where they can still sense that person's presence. Sometimes they lie close to your feet. Sometimes they position their head toward you. And sometimes, even while sleeping deeply, the moment they hear you stand up, their small ears gently move, as if they need to make sure that you are still there. This is very similar to what psychologists observe in young children. A child can sleep peacefully when they know their parents are nearby, not because they can see them, but because that presence creates a feeling of safety that allows them to relax and enter sleep with confidence. Your dog is the same way. After hundreds, even thousands of days living together under the same roof, their brain has learned that wherever you are, that is the safest place. It is no longer a conscious choice. It has become a natural response deeply connected to their heart. Perhaps that is why so many dogs do not enjoy sleeping alone in another room, even when that space is larger or has a softer bed. They are willing to sleep on a hard floor right beside the chair where you are reading. They are even willing to change their sleeping spot simply because you have moved to another room. It is not because they cannot sleep comfortably. It is because the quality of their sleep does not depend on how soft the bed is. It depends on whether the person who makes them feel safe is still close by. And when we look back at the 5 signs we have explored together, we begin to see something truly beautiful. From the way they search for your eyes when they feel uncertain, to the way they willingly share their most treasured possession, quietly follow you throughout the house, sense your sadness, and peacefully fall asleep knowing you are still beside them. Every single one of these behaviors tells the same story. In your dog's world, you have never been just the person who gives them food or takes them for walks. You are the place they run to when they need comfort, the person they trust more than anyone else, and the place where their little heart always wants to return. Perhaps that is the closest meaning of the word parent in the world of dogs. Perhaps the most beautiful thing about a dog's love is that they never try to convince you that they love you. They do not know how to say sweet words. They cannot explain their feelings through language the way humans do. Instead, they choose a much simpler way. They express it through every quiet glance directed toward you, through the gentle footsteps that follow you throughout the house, through the old toy they treasure more than anything, through their peaceful presence on the days when you feel exhausted, and through the way they close their eyes and sleep peacefully, knowing that you are still nearby. Maybe in the past, you thought these were just ordinary habits, but now, I hope that every time you witness these moments, you will remember that your dog has been telling you the same message over and over again for many years. In their world, you are not simply the person who gives them food or takes them for walks. You are the place they turn to whenever they feel afraid. You are the one who helps them understand that the world is still safe. And you are the safest place they have ever known. What makes the relationship between humans and dogs so extraordinary is not because they are capable of doing impossible things. It is because they transform the simplest everyday moments into expressions of unconditional love. Perhaps that is why, no matter how much time passes, anyone who has ever been loved by a dog never forgets that feeling. If, after watching this video, you have recognized one or more of these signs in your own dog, share your story with me in the comments. I would love to know which moment touched your heart the most and what your dog does to show you that you are their entire world. If this video helped you understand your dog a little more, do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you never miss our upcoming videos. Because every week, we will continue exploring the fascinating secrets of canine psychology together, so that every day spent with our dogs is not only filled with happiness, but also with moments of true understanding. I will see you in the next video.